The equalized rate. That's it.
You are live.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Call this meeting of Board of Supervisors together. Pledge allegiance led by Supervisor Runyon.
Pledge allegiance
To
to
the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask clerk to do your roll call.
Mr. Conover.
Here.
Mr. Leggett.
Here.
Mr. Diamond.
Here.
Mr. McDevitt.
Here.
Ms. Bramer. Here. Mr. Bruno.
Here.
Mr. Driscoll.
Here.
Mrs. Frazier. Mr. Drossy.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Dickinson. Mr. Merlino.
Here.
Mr. Stroud.
Here.
Mr. Wild.
Here.
Mr. McGowan.
Here.
Mr. Beatty.
Here.
Mr. Etu.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Ms. Runyon.
Here.
Chairman Garrity.
Here.
Quorum is established.
First item, business, privilege of floor and public comment. Anybody who wishes to address the board about anything, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Anybody that wishes to address the board before the meeting? Lisa.
Hello, my name is Christopher Bradley. I'm here as a representative of the Warren Washington Topics on Tobacco Coalition. This is a coalition consisting of public health professionals, healthcare providers, school personnel, and community-based organizations convening to address the issue of tobacco and e-cigarette use in Warren and Washington counties. We recently provided some outreach to municipal leaders across Warren and Washington counties, summarizing information on the disparate impact of tobacco and what it's having on our local communities. We know in 2021, the adult smoking rate for Warren County was 21.3%, an 11.5% increase since 2018. And the 2021 adult smoking rate for Washington County was 22.7, the fifth highest in all of New York State. The 2021 New York State adult smoking average across the entire state was only 12%. The New York State Youth Tobacco Survey indicates that tobacco product use among high school students is at 20.8% in 2022. This is due to an 18.7% increase in e-cigarette use among high school youth. And our coalition members continue to observe and receive communication from community members about the remarkable use of e-cigarettes among youth in our communities. Without local policy in place, people can smoke, vape, and use non-combustible tobacco and cannabis products on all municipal property not affected by New York State public health law. And local neighboring municipalities have mobilized to implement comprehensive tobacco policy to protect their properties, schools, families, and public spaces from the harms of secondhand smoke. In 2016, Warren County amended its existing policy. In November 1st, 2021, Washington County itself adopted a smoke-free policy. And in June 16, 2022, the town of Horicon implemented a local health law. I'm going to be following up after today with an email from the coalition to encourage you to review the document that outlines recent changes to New York State tobacco control laws and the purpose of our coalition and available resources. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yes, please.
Hi, Travis Whitehead. I didn't know that that gentleman was going to be here. I'd just like to remind you that the county receives hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from the tobacco companies in a settlement that was supposed to be applied towards reducing smoking, et cetera. I'm not aware of this body giving any of that kind of funding to an organization like this. I would hope that they would ask you for part of that money and that you would grant it that money. Again, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Half of it was turned into a bond to pay for the jail. That's another topic I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But the other half is still coming in every year, and you can certainly go ahead and give a few $1,000s here or there to an organization that is looking to help the very cause that that money was supposed to fund. And I hope you would look at doing that. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address? Or Okay, no comments. We'll go on. First, I need a motion to approve the October 20th and November 3rd board meetings. Motion by Supervisor Drossy, second by Supervisor Smith. Discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Both carried. Next, we have the Employee of the Month Award. It's a young man who has worked for the county for 30 years, I believe, in public health. And I asked Janelle to come up and give us the presentation of Employee of the Month.
Good morning, everyone. It's with great pleasure I nominated Craig Briggs for the November Employee of the Month. Health Services is very fortunate to have a nurse leader like Craig, who has been with our agency for over 30 years. Craig is dedicated, caring, compassionate, hardworking, which has been consistently demonstrated throughout his tenure with our agency. Craig exemplifies genuine concern for his patients, coworkers, and the Health Services Agency, and is the rule. He respectfully promotes a positive work environment. He's a team player and frequently offers to assist with extra patients as needed to help his coworkers and to ensure that those in need are seen. Craig's nursing skills are solid. Combined with his work ethic, genuineness, and dedication, he's a definite asset to Health Services in Warren County. There have been so many changes in home care, but throughout all the frustrations with new regulations, insurance constraints, electronic medical record transitions, Craig has never compromised his care and concern for his patients. Craig takes ownership of his patients' care, providing patient and family education at the appropriate level for their understanding, and ensures adequate follow-through with his care plan. His patients and their families love him and frequently acknowledge his outstanding efforts with notes and calls to our agency. Craig is an advocate who consistently is complimented by patients and their families for helping them navigate very difficult health problems. He has a keen wound assessment skills and refers potential problems quickly to optimize successful outcomes. Craig is dedicated, caring, respectful. He looks for the safety and well-being of his coworkers. He helps provide rides to coworkers in need, especially in inclement weather. He readily volunteers to take cases with very difficult or condescending personalities, or cases he feels may put other nurses at risk. With these same cases, Craig is a unique gift to be professionally and tactfully direct while demonstrating his genuine compassion and concern for that patient's health. Even in the most difficult cases, they love him, they respect him, and they follow his guidance. Over the past few years, Health Services has lost many of its nurses to well-deserved retirements and through the pandemic, paving the way for new home care nurses. Just before the pandemic, we had received some nurses, and in most of those cases, home care is a very small component of the nursing programs. So they come to our agency without a lot of experience. So Craig has been a hidden resource for many years, as he's always been somewhat reluctant to take students for clinical assignments. But he's not typically utilized for orientation either. We recently figured out that he has assisted new staff with their orientations and demonstrated excellent teaching and mentoring capabilities. He has vast home care experience, passion, and knowledge, and he's proved to be a very valuable resource for our newer staff and our students. Health Services, and most importantly, our patients are very lucky to have him. His efforts and newly tapped skills are much appreciated and have contributed to the success of our agency's newer and existing nurses. In addition to his work at Warren County, Craig is a husband, father, and grandfather. He's also very involved in the community through his church and a historical military reenactment organization, frequently sporting a mullet and he eagerly invites those without weekend plans to come check it out. Craig is very deserving of this Employee of the Month designation, and our agency's administrative staff is proud to have nominated him. Congratulations, Craig. Thank you for your service and dedication to our agency.
You know, as Janelle has said, he's been there with us for over 30-some years. He's seen many changes, but the one important thing I think Craig brings to to the unit is he always puts his patients first. So we appreciate that. And would you like to say a few words about your job or your tenure?
I mean, it is what it is. I work with a great bunch of gals and I could say that because I'm the only male nurse there. We've had one or two in the past, probably 20 years or so, and they've since gone, but it's a great organization to work with. It's, you know, one big happy dysfunctional family at times, but we get through the issues and I just wish there was more of us on board to do this because I don't know what happened, but with COVID, it just changed people's attitudes and their hearts. Nobody wants to work anymore. So we're stuck with, you know, a skeleton crew for nursing staff covering the entirety of Warren County. And I just wish we had more hands to work with.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, it's a public hearing on the Warren County Sewer District.
Okay. Warren County Sewer District Industrial Park has completed its annual assessment of the cost of the increase and improvement of facilities apportioned to the Warren County Sewer District by reason of the intermunicipal agreement for South Queensbury Avenue Sanitary Sewer District. A benefit to tax roll for 2024 has been completed, showing the annual assessment on the lots and parcels of land in the Warren County Sewer District in proportion to the benefit with which each lot or parcel will derive therefrom. The assessment roll describes each lot or parcel of land in such manner that it may be ascertained and identified and shows the name or names of the reputed owner or owners thereof, together with the aggregate amount of assessment levied upon each lot or parcel of land. A copy of said assessment roll is available for inspection during regular business hours by contacting the clerk of the Board of Supervisors at the below stated address and may be viewed on the Warren County website. Pursuant to resolution number 474 of 2023, adopted by the Warren County Board of Supervisors at their meeting held on October 20th, 2023. A public hearing will be held by the Warren County Board of Supervisors at the Board of Supervisors Meeting Room in the Warren County Municipal Center, 1340 State Route 9, Queensbury, New York, on the 17th day of November 2023 at 10 a.m., at which time and place said Board of Supervisors will hear and consider any objections that may be made to the assessments.
Okay, I'll open up for public comment. Anybody wish to comment on the sewer district? Seeing none, did you want to ask questions, Supervisor? Did you want to ask a question about this or no?
No, I'll ask Matt for the first part, that's all right.
Anybody? We'll keep the hearing open for a little bit and then in case somebody thinks of something in the next 10 minutes. Next, we'll declare a public hearing on the 2024 tentative budget. Ask clerk to please read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the budget officer of the County of Warren has prepared and filed a proposed budget for fiscal year 2024. And the Board of Supervisors will meet in the supervisors' rooms at the Warren County Municipal Center located at 1340 State Route 9, Queensbury, New York, on the 17th day of November 2023 at 10 a.m. for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the tentative budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024. And that at such hearing, any person may be heard in favor of or against the tentative budget as compiled or for or against any items therein contained. Copies of said tentative budget are available for inspection during regular business hours by contacting the clerk of the Board of Supervisors at the above stated address and may be viewed on the Warren County website. Pursuant to section 359 of county law, the maximum salaries that may be fixed and payable during fiscal year 2024 to members of the Board of Supervisors and to the chairman thereof are hereby specified as follows. Members of the Board of Supervisors, $19,932 each. Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, $25,000. Further notice is hereby given that following is a summary of the tentative budget of Warren County for fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024. Gross appropriations of $192,839,296, less the amount of $143,022,887, which includes interfund revenues, and surplus appropriated, but does not include sales tax credit, leaving a balance of $49,816,409 to be raised by taxation.
Okay, does anybody wish to address the board on the tentative budget? Anybody from the audience?
My name is Travis Whitehead. in this budget, I have concerns about how you're treating two different departments. In one case, a department, and this was made known to you every month for the last year, was well over budget. Ended up over $4 million over budget. And this year you're fully funding that request. Another department, I think you know which one I'm talking about on that one. Another department, the DPW department, however, met their goal. And yet you go ahead and decide to look at the requests that they have made for this year and have reduced them by nearly $4 million. In one case, the first person who is $4 million over is going to have an easier time meeting his budget next year, thanks to this budget. Yet you are sending the wrong message, I believe, to the person that did his job correctly, who asked for $5.4 million for roads and bridges this year, was given $4 million in the budget, asked for $1.2 million in equipment. And this, you know, he's got a 5-year plan. This is not a surprise. And instead of 1.2 million, you allocate 800,000. And I can't even understand this one, but asking for $2.7 million to make the local match against federal funding, et cetera, and you're only going to give him less than a third of that, which makes no sense whatsoever. So basically forcing this person to either miss his budget or for you to amend the budget over the course of the year. It just doesn't seem like this is the message that you should be sending out there. I asked a couple of weeks ago for you to take a look at why the corrections in particular were so high last year. And I know part of that has to do with out of your control. It's the state that goes ahead and has certain rules. And one of the rules is that you must fully staff your facility based on the number of beds you have. And you have 184 beds. Thing is, over the last year, you've had less than 100, generally in the 90s of inmates. Just a little over half of that capacity, yet you have to staff by law for full capacity. When you purchase this facility, you purchased it in pods. You have 4 pods. It would seem that there could be some economy by shutting down one of these pods. And I was just wondering why over the last year, as you kept on being heard, that kept hearing that you know, you're over another 100,000 this month, another 300,000 this month. As you started hearing this and the complaints about overtime pay, et cetera, why you didn't start asking questions like what can be done? Other counties have reduced their size of their jails, and now they can staff for less. In this case, we could reduce overtime, which everybody knows that when you're forced to work overtime, it's not a good situation for the family. Makes the job a lot more stressful. It would be nice if we didn't have so much overtime out there. We also had, from what I understand, 10 vacancies that we can't even fill these positions. Other counties have had the same problems. Other counties have reduced the size of their jail. In addition, we have a jail not 10 miles away in Washington County facing the same problem. So, you know, we're encouraged to work inter-county on some of these issues. And I would think that you could also, you know, work with them. One of the problems you face is, you know, you have to house females and males. You don't want them together for obvious reasons. And they're a relatively small percentage of the population. You know, perhaps one county should be taking the females. I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of questions that can be asked. There's very possibly good answers why you wouldn't want to do this or wouldn't want to do that. But I think it should be your obligation to go ahead and ask those questions. and they haven't been asked. So my concern about this budget is it just is sending the wrong message. Those people that are doing a good job, but happen to be doing work that taxpayers like me appreciate, are being knocked down in hopes that maybe you'll go ahead and bust the tax cap in order to give us some more roads. I mean, I've seen schools do the same thing when they're faced with austerity budgets. Oh, we'll cut the sports. No, that's not going to fly. So the idea here is let's go ahead and not put the money in the roads. Let's not take the federal match. That's a ridiculous argument to make, and you shouldn't fall for it. Of course, it doesn't really matter because you're going to have more than enough funds by the end of the year to cover whatever might happen in DPW or in the jail, because you're carrying more than your policy allows you to carry as far as your rainy day fund, your general fund unassigned unappropriated balance, which the auditor has said every year exceeds the 21.8%. That is the maximum. You are supposed to be carrying between 16 point something percent and 21.8%. You shoot for the high side every year. You miss it on the high side every year. And that makes it comfortable for you. But I don't really think, again, it's doing the right thing. You're supposed to be saving, holding a reasonable amount. You've by resolution decided what that reasonable amount is. It's changed over the years. It's gone up over the years. But it stands now at 16 point something to 21.8%. And you're exceeding that. So make this budget, in my opinion, it should reflect what has been happening. It should not punish those that happen to be providing good services to the county, and reward those that could do better. And I think it's up to you to go ahead and make sure that doesn't happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board on the budget? Supervisor Leggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Accolades to the budget officer for all that he's done on this. It is tough to pull together a good budget, and he does it fairly single-handedly, which brings me to my point that the Board of Supervisors is not directly involved in a lot of the formation of the budget itself. It comes through all of our committees. It is presented by each of the departments on all the oversight committees, but it is already there is not a good opportunity to really assess the budget requests, as I was just going to call him Supervisor Whitehead, as Mr. Whitehead had just brought up. And I do wish that this Board of Supervisors, and perhaps with the next chairman, would be able to reorganize how the budget process is done so that it is more inclusive of all the voices that are around this table here, and we can look at it more closely and make these strategic decisions on where the money should go. Also, as I look through resolutions for today, I think, and we'll bring it up at that point, some of the concerns that Ms. White had brought up about funding of the roads and machinery is taken care of in several of our resolutions today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else? Supervisor McGowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I stated in the last board meeting that I was going to take my wad of papers home there and review and get a little organized. And in between the tentative report and our audit from last year, and the PowerPoint. By the way, again, I agree with my upstate cohort Supervisor Leggett on Frank on doing a job. It is tough and it's huge. And we've got through it, but I have a few concerns, and I brought it up, and I'm not sure if you want to go into executive session because it has to do with some positions and departments, but The two I believe I can bring up that I happened to notice. Last meeting, supervisors were turned down for a raise, but nothing was brought up for the chairman and the budget officer. Now, the chairman's getting a 8.7% increase, and the budget officer is getting a 67% increase. Not a whole lot of money. You're talking 10 grand. But to me, there should be a consistency in the way that we do things. And when it looks like sometimes we hand pick raises, all right, for certain individuals and that, and I agree with Supervisor Leggett is that we really need a part in this, because over the last 5 years or 6 years is learning this, the budget is, you know, I've heard about it, and you know, even Mr. Leggett and I talked about it. He had to prepare for a budget meeting when we talked last week, and there's a lot that goes into this, but you know, when you see some inconsistencies, especially in raises, we have one department that's getting a 12.8 and a 14% when 2 employees. We have another department that has a 7%. So as I go through with the employees, and I won't go into it, but there's a consistency of being inconsistent. So if we're going to have a process of being inconsistent, or are we going to have a process of being consistent? So if we're going to consistently be inconsistent, then there's one other person that should be on this list today that we have brought up before. And it has been, it was voted last board meeting to go back to a committee for probably the 3rd or 4th time, because it's been through budget twice. It's been through personnel, it's been through finance, it's been through its own committee, and we're told to put it back, but yet we have, it looks like some hand-picked employees or departments who just get a raise. You know, and all the way into our you know, on this floor. So would you like to go into an executive session so I can go into the depth of this,
What
or?
I'd like to do is complete the hearing, and before we vote on the budget, we're going to executive session, so you can
Sounds
bring
fair.
up your personnel issue.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments on the county budget from anybody from the audience?
Good morning, everybody. I am officially going to be your new treasurer. Thank you so much for all of your support. Just a couple comments on the budget. I have been through it. It is a huge task. Well done to everybody who participated in it. And I went through it, had questions. I'd like to thank Treasurer Swan and Rob, as well as John Taplin, for getting me comfortable with some things that I just didn't understand. So it was a big learning process for me, and I want to thank everybody for that. At the last meeting, I know it was brought up that, and I've done many budgets, and I'm happy to help out. In fact, I'm looking forward to helping out go forward. I just wanted to let you know that I reached out to NISAC, the New York State Association of Counties, just to kind of get a little benchmarking. And it's a little bit all over the board. Actually, sorry, I wanted to read to you. And then I'll sit down. I just said who normally handles the budget process. And so she generally said it's generally a separate individual for a separate individual within the counties. However, she's not really sure what department that falls under. She's going to get back to me on that. She did want to let me know that the next most common setup to this was that the county admin, the county administrator does the budget. And then finally, there were only about 5 counties, whether legislators or supervisors, where within the supervisor and the legislative board acts as the county officer or the budget officer, excuse me. So I just wanted to share that. Again, whatever you guys decide, I'll fully support. But more importantly, I'm just glad to help out go forward. And appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address the board? Nobody, then we've been asked to go into executive session to talk. Oh, do we want to close the public hearing?
I would say just close the public hearing.
Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing on the sewer district if nobody else has anything to say. Okay, and then we'll close the public hearing on the budget and we'll go into executive session to talk about personnel. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
We need a motion.
We need a motion to go into executive session
Yes.
and to close the hearings or no?
No, just they go in executive
Yes.
session.
Mr. McGowan making a motion going to executive session, second by Miss Runyon. Any discussion? All those in favor going into executive session signify by saying aye.